Hey, what's up? This is Rogelio Lozano, guitar player for Downset. You're on Metal on Loud, and look out for us in 2022 and later in the fall. Thank you very much. See you out there.
Great to see you, man. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, thank you, thank you for having me.
It's my
Uh,
absolute pleasure.
Pleasure's mine.
How are things in your world, man?
I'm sorry, I
How
missed
are
that.
things in your world?
Yeah, just we myself. I've been working a lot. Just I have my I always have my 9 to 5 no matter what.
Hmm.
Whether I'm on a major label, independent, or no label, I'm always working, no matter what. It's very important to keep a job until you're forced to go on tour.
Hmm.
But it's very important to a lot of guys get the misconception as once they get signed on a major, they can quit their jobs and for the rest of their lives and they're all set. But you know it that's not the case. We got to keep the job, keep working. And all of us in the band work. We all have our own 9 to 5 jobs, and it's got to feed our families. We have mortgages, and it just keeps us hungry for to write more music and maybe someday get rich. but but that's not really the plan. Just we just love to write our music and love to record albums is the number
Yeah,
one reason why we do this.
that's one of the things I've always loved about Downset. I've been following you guys ever since the first album, and it sounds real, the music, I think. And
Thank you.
it's always been a bridge between my metal friends and the people who are not into that heavy kind of stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, we have we made that blend for on purpose, and in the beginning it was just about being sincere to ourselves and making ourselves happy.
Mhm.
And that was, once you make yourself happy, then you can really share it and feel more confident and share it, and feel when you feel good about something, it's time to share. So
Mhm.
that's how I feel. And we have our own code and ethic within our writing formula, and how we our beliefs are is similar, not all the same. We don't believe the same thing, but we have the same concept understanding of what downset is.
Mhm.
And it's, whether it's a template or a visual formula or sonically, um, we 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 keep those ethics as much as we can. And we just try to do things as sincerely as possible,
Mhm.
and as responsible as we can be.
Yeah. If
There's
I
a responsibility.
if I project
Yeah.
your introduction about your 9 to 5, about your job, and I project that onto the lyrics of the first album, for instance, Downset at the bottom, coming up with the visual, you're still the same band, right?
Yeah. We still have the same attitude. um, we've had member changes, a few
Mhm.
member changes in the last 10 years. And so Downset's changed a little bit. Um, but when Ray and I, we started to hang out again 2 years ago in 2020, without the intentions of reforming the band. It was just to we wanted to, brothers go through things sometimes, and
Mhm.
sometimes you don't talk, and um, and so we had some hatches that we needed to bury, some resentments that we needed to let go. And so Ray made that first call. He called me and he said, "Hey, look, I'm not here to want to join, reform the band. I just want to be your friend again." I said, "You know what, man? I really appreciate that. I'm sure I wasn't an angel. I did my part in embarrassing you guys, and I'm sorry about that. And I was just, we were growing up, we were young, and I told him, I go, hey, if you have, if you're flirting with the idea of reforming Downset, let's do it right now because I have the time." And so that's how it started, and that's when we started to do the demos. And and reform the band. The intentions were to, I called every original member because, we've always wanted to, every album we tried to get all the original members, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes the guys' circumstances in their lives don't allow them to. But we all keep in touch. The original members are they gave us their blessings, and they're really happy that we're doing it. They just can't do it right now. So three of the guys, Brian, James, and Chris, the original guys, they opted not to do it. And so that's when I started to look for other members, and I got a hold of Bobby Blood from First Blood, Marauder, and Andrew Klein from Strife, Philip Gonzalez, who also played with Bobby and his other band called Cold Existence. And we even had Carl Schwartz from First Blood help us on these demos in the beginning. And then, the pandemic, kind of stopped our demos in the beginning, and we had to wait in the first wave of the pandemic. We were in the studio when it kicked in, and so the studio closed, and we had to wait about 4 to 5 months before we can go back and to revisit our files, because our files are in there. And so within that time, we lost Carl, we lost Andrew Klein. It just things, guys started to go in different directions, but we kept a solid core of a band. And then we had a Nick Jett from Terror come and help us write, engineer, record the band, produce the band. So him and I co-produced the album. And this is after we did the demos. Scott Koenig, our manager at the time, he shopped the demo. We got the deal with Nuclear Blast, and then the Delta hit, and he passed away. So we lost our manager, and so it was a lot of there was a lot of ebbs and flows within the recording process. There were some obstacles, and that's how the name of the album came up. We had to hold fast to everything. We had to keep the faith with courage and hold it down. It's almost like the same meaning as the Madball album, Hold It Down. It's almost the same thing, maintain, hold it together, and it'll happen if you keep positive and you keep high levels of optimism, and the people around you that have to be highly optimistic and positive for a lot of things, a lot of avenues to open and to be able to make things happen. So so hope that answered that question.
Yeah, it did make me wonder the album title Maintain, since maintain can be a good thing and a bad thing. If you maintain something at this level, you'll never reach that. So it's
right.
Yeah, it got me thinking about that.
Yeah, so it was not a matter of being unprogressive or complacent. Has nothing to do with complacency. It just has to do with when the times are tough, you got to hold it down. You got to maintain, and it's almost a slang word. It's you got to maintain. You got to maintain, brother. Maintain. Keep it real. Keep it together. Maintain so we can progress and go further. So kind of a slangish kind of thing. So and I hope that people can grasp that when they read the lyrics and the album.
Yeah, I really love the sound of this album. What can you tell us about how Downset progressed from the first albums to the point where you are now?
Yeah, so recording equipment has progressed since we started. Well, there was a time when we started to lose tape in 2000, and then we were all getting to learn how to use Pro Tools, and Pro Tools was just in the beginning stage, and things were still sounding kind of plastic. And it took about 22 years to get all these simulators to sound as close as with these plugins, right? Now the plugins today are a lot better. But what we decided to do on this album is recorded a home studio, and where it was a lot less expensive, and so we booked it for a month rather than go into a high quality studio with all the gear in there and book it out for 2 weeks and have more pressure to track everything, So so we went to the home studio in Granada Hills. It's called Jet Tamar Studio. It's a studio that Nick Jet works out of, and he does a lot of his albums there. And what I did with my experience in the recording world, and I've worked at different recording studios like Conway Studios in Hollywood and Sound City recording studios. I got to meet a lot of engineers and rental companies. So for this one, the studio lacked a few mic pre's here and there, a few microphones. So I rented old Neve modules, 1073s, 1083s, Neumann microphones, AKG mics for the drums, and really focused on the drums to get a really good sound on the drums. Is the most important thing for me as a recorder or producer or engineer, is to get that foundation with the drums first. So once you got a good drums, then you can, and it makes it a lot easier for you to track over guitars, bass, and other instrumentation, especially the vocals. It's very important that we have a good rhythmic takes on the drums, because we have Ray does a lot of rap flows, and he really needs it to be on time, but yet sound sincere, sound or it doesn't sound like a machine. It sounds like a real band where there's some groove behind it. So it's difficult to do that, and so I think we captured that. I'm really happy with the guitars. This time around, we dropped tune back to drop C, so we're back like the first demos. But then throughout the first album, second album, third album, there was a default, and we ended up somehow recording a drop C sharp, and that became our sound. But our original sound is really in drop C. So we brought that back for this album with as well as drop C sharp and a drop standard. That affected a lot the sound. And this time around I used different guitars. I used Jackson USA's and with EMG pickups, where before we used SGs and Les Pauls, and it was just a little fatter and dirtier. It was different. This time around, we just sharpened our sound, I think, with using amps like Mesa Boogie, and I used Mesa Boogie. I used diesel amps. I used Fry It. I used some Marshall, but the diesel and the Mesa Boogie, we never really used those amps back in the day. We used, old Laney amplifiers, vintage Marshalls, and vintage orange amps that were modified. And so it was a whole different recording process with guitars this time around. So we were looking for something more crisp, and I think we got it.
What I really liked about the sound of this album is that it sounds authentic. It doesn't sound polished to a shine. It feels real. And I think that really fits the band.
Thank you. That was the main goal, was to try to bring back that old school sound, but yet with an audio upgrade. And it's a challenge, because there's a lot of good bands out there right now doing some really nice sounding recordings, and that's a different type of competition for me. I don't like to compete in music, but when it comes to there's different types of competition in there, because there's so many things to learn in music, and there's so many trades in music. And I think the engineering trade, you can take a lot of pride in it, because it's the science behind it. So if you achieve a good sound, it's really gratifying. It's really gratifying. And so we're really happy, with this. It was a big challenge for me, because it was the first time I got to produce a Downset album. Whereas we had Roy Z, our producer, he produced the first three, and then Brian Schwager, our other guitar player, produced the other two albums, One Blood and Universal. And this time it was my turn to show what I got. And so I felt confident after doing the Power Flow album that I did a couple years ago. I was co-producer on that one, and we recorded at a really nice studio, NRG, with Jay Baumgartner. And that was a whole different experience, different. But I think we kind of got close to sounding like that. That was like my goal. And if I can get to sound like that Power Flow album, I think I can, really beat the recordings of the other Downset albums. But each Downset album has their own sound, their own unique sound, and I'm proud of it all.
Yeah, your own flavor, absolutely.
Yeah,
I was looking up who did the artwork for this album, and I got a nice surprise that it was Simone Sut, who is also
yeah.
the bass player of a band where I'm the lyricist. So it's a small world, man.
Oh, you play in a band with Simon? Oh,
I
oh,
write the lyrics for a band called Good, and he is the bass player there. Yeah.
oh, wow. You know, the it's the music industry or music around this whole this planet has changed, and social media has allowed us to really keep in touch and reach out to people that you don't know, and it was Simon was the guy who initially made the contact to me. It was a shot in the
Mhm.
dark for him. Um, he just threw it out there. I had no idea. And he introduced himself to me. He's like, "Hey, my name is Simon. Um, I'm blah 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 blah. I'm from here and that, and I do artwork. And if you want to see my art, if you have anything for me to work on, I'd love to give it a shot." I go, "You know what, man? You I don't know who you are, but you emailed me in the right time, or you messaged me in the right time." And
Mhm.
right then and there, I said, "Look, I'm looking for someone to do some artwork. Um, the name of the album is called Maintain Go." And then that's how we started. And he's really, really good. He listens really well. We work together. I mean, it was a blessing out of
Yeah.
nowhere. And so since then, he's done a couple outward a couple projects for me already, and he's done all the merchandise too.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I
we're
heard.
gonna yeah, yeah. So really, really cool. And
Small world.
he really he helped me in a time where I was in desperate need. So it was a great addition to have Simon come in and join the team.
It really nails the old vibe for the first albums. It really looks like a classic Downset album. That's great.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
The album cover, we're gonna have two different album covers. One is gonna be released on vinyl and Hits Records, and that album cover is gonna be a little bit different, but still the same kind of concept of like the NBA image,
Mhm.
and it was Ray's idea to have my silhouette, um, just like the NBA logo that we had for we had a shirt, an old Downset shirt with the old NBA logo, and we turned it into the Downset shirt, and we used a red, white, and blue silhouette. So we wanted to go back to that because it was a big seller for us. The NBA issued a lot of cease and desist warnings. They tried to sue us, and then we would stop, and then we go again, and they send us a letter, and then we would stop, and so they were now we have our own NBA style silhouette. So the album was supposed to be looking like that, but then Simone started to give it his flavor, and it just turned into something nicer. It turned into almost like a baseball card or a stamp, but it
Yeah.
was like really old school, and we were able to get the old logos, and he works with colors really well. He did a great job. Yep.
Are you going to perform this material live anytime soon, or are you busy with your day job?
No, well, we've been having some actually it had nothing to do with our work. We've been
Mhm.
having some so, some type of turmoil that we've been dealing with lately, and so um, we're optimistic to come out before the year's over. We
Yeah.
really want to come out and do some shows, and do some type of touring, because we I really want to go. I'm dying to be out on the road like anybody else, and we have album support. But it comes
Mhm.
down to Ray. He's he's got some challenges he's dealing with. His job is not as forgiving as mine, so
Mhm.
he's been with that company for 15 years, and he's he's really worked himself up really high in that position. He's a union rep, but he finds a way to get out, and he has toured with holding that job. He's been there for 15 years, so he's toured before. So
Mhm.
it's just going to come down to he's a unique guy to deal with. Um, and so it's just I basically we're just gonna wait around for Ray until he's ready,
Yeah.
and it comes down to that, so
I
so
really can't wait to see you guys live again. I remember the concerts back in the day, Dynamo Festival. Awesome.
oh yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we did, and the Dynamo was amazing, and those days were just wish we can bring them back and do that again.
What would you say are your happiest memories of those days?
Oh man, I would say, all those tours in the beginning, like the State of the World Address tour with Biohazard, Far Beyond Driven tour with Pantera. Um, those were, I don't can only say that it was almost unreal. It was like if I was really dreaming,
Mhm.
and to have like guys like you know uh, Biohazard. I was listening to Biohazard, and as a fan, and Pantera as a fan. So it's a lot different. Now as I work with a lot of people in the business, now it's just like there are people in where I work with and people in the business, and so it's different. But in those days, we were young, we were just coming up. It was our first tours, and then we're hanging out with Phil Anselmo and Dimebag Daryl, and Dimebag. He gave me the biggest compliment. And when we joined up with them, we had it was just us and them for the first 5 shows. We did 35 shows with them in Europe, and so the first 5 shows was just us and them, and then the Almighty joined in. Um, but like around the fourth show, Dimebag Darrell came and gave me a beer, and he says, "Here, man, I want to congratulate you, and I also want to thank you for being a dangerous band." And I'm like, "What do you mean by that?" He goes, "Man, look, we were pretty jaded coming into this tour. We were tired, but we're ready. But you guys, your guys' energy and how dangerous you guys are made us it made us be more dangerous than we are right now at the moment. And we needed that spark, and we needed that band like you to come in, because we came in with a lot of energy. We were 20 years old, 19, and we were young guys jumping up and doing backflips and stuff like that. And it really inspired them to really bring up their game. And I'm like, wow, us inspire you. You guys are the most powerful band in the world.
Yeah.
And it was a big compliment for me,
Yeah.
definitely.
Those are words to cherish, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, man, it was great. There's many, but that was one. And then another time after that, it was when few years later forward in 2000, when we got the record deal with Epitaph Records. And Brett Gurewitz was one of my favorite. It is one of my favorite engineers and musicians, because of how hard he works and what he's accomplished with his record label and all the bands that he's you know produced, and Bad Religion and all the countless bands. And he was a hero. And for him to come around to want to sign my band and say, I've been listening to you. I was listening to your Check Your People album, because we were shelved on Island Def Jam, and we were looking for a label to release our album, because they wouldn't release it unless another label came. And it was the year 2000, unless another
Mhm.
label came and bought the album, and they did. And Brett Gurewitz bought it for $100,000. It cost us 290 to record. $290,000 back in those days. Randy Staub mixed it. Crazy. Those days was crazy. A lot of frustration. Um, you know, but we were able to drop that album. But to have Brett Gurewitz come around the corner, and that was another, like, wow, man, a hero of mine comes to save me.
Yeah.
So that was another time in my life. Even though it was not the early days, that was in the 2000. It was like in the middle
Mhm.
of Downset's career, and it really helped us.
Yeah, I bet. Well, I
Yeah.
really loved talking to you today. Do you have
Thank you.
any
Thank you.
words for your fans out there? Last words.
Yeah, I just want to say to all of our followers that have been following us for so many years, I don't like to call you fans. I like to call you brothers. And you know, and I just want to say thank you so much for the patience and asking for us to do another album, um, and just I thank you for being there, and I hope to see you out on the road really soon. Um, Anybody can always email me. Anybody can email me or contact me in email. I'm wide open to talk to anybody. Um, I'm gonna leave my email, and I'm gonna say it's Rogelio Lozano, my name, Rogelio Lozano, #7 @gmail.com. If anybody wants to talk to me, have questions about anything, because there's a lot of questions out there that a lot of people have, and so I got the answers, and I'm willing to talk about anything that you want to talk about. So that's what I have for everybody.
I love that. Thank you very much for coming on, and stay metal, man. Metal on loud.
Thank you very much, brother. Thank you very much, Randy. Thanks for the patience, and thank you for having me on.